Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the December 19th, 2017 meeting of the Revere School Committee. Please rise to say the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call of the members.
Mr. Ferranti.
Here.
Ms. Gravelisi.
Here.
Mr. McGuire.
Here.
Mrs. Rizzo.
Here.
Mr. Sinella.
Here.
Ms. Ty.
Here.
Mayor Arrigo.
Here. I'd also like to recognize our school committee-elect, Jerry Visconti, for being in the audience. Appreciate the willingness to take the time to be here this evening. Dr. Kelly.
So we're going to begin tonight with recognition from the school committee for two very large and distinct groups of students who are here tonight. The first is our Spelling Bee finalists. We have the top 3 spellers from each elementary school and each middle school who will be here to receive their awards. And we also have a number of athletic awards for students who have gone above and beyond and demonstrated their extreme skill on the field on a much larger scale than the city of Revere. So we'll have awards for all of those students. I'm going to go over to the podium where I will call students up from, and I would ask committee members to go in front of the dais to congratulate and shake hands with students. So we're going to begin with the Beechmont Elementary School. In third place, Rana Mrabi. And Dr. Napier is here to congratulate him. Is he not here? Okay. In second place, John Barry. And our first place speller from the Beechmont School is Ashraf Malki. Next, I'll invite Principal Coots to come up as we present to the Garfield Elementary School students. In third place, Sonia Haley. In second place, Nezra Rawi. And our first place speller at Garfield Elementary School, David Kossel-Roth. And I'll invite Mr. Moshe to come up as we present to the Hill School students. Third place speller is Arshit Prada. Our second place winner is Abdurrahman Boutamtam. And in first place, Sarah Granados. And now I'll invite Principal Humus Tracy to come up to present to the Lincoln School. Our third place speller is Eric DiCavallo. In second place, Harris Hadizanovic. And in first place, the champion speller is Camilla Souza. Next, we'll award the Paul Revere School if Principal Kelly will come up. And our third place winner is Sarah Brown. Okay, Sarah Brown Abdel Faha, who's not able to make it. In second place, Ryan Azrahi. And our champion speller, John Bagoli. Next, we'll present to our Wayland School winners, and Principal Flynn is going to try to make her way through the crowd. Our third place winner at the Wayland School is Amina Miriam Belal. In second place, James Pasquale D'Amico. And our champion speller from the Wayland School is Isha Hassan. All right. Moving on to our middle schools. At Garfield Middle, and I don't see... Okay. Third place winner at Garfield Middle School is Mia Perrin. In second place, Teo Hood. And champion speller from Garfield Middle is Annabella Sandy Roach. Next, we'll go on to the Susan B. Anthony School, and Principal Willett will come up. Our third place speller at the Susan B. Anthony is Devin Neves. Our second place speller is Henry Nguyen. And our champion speller from Susan B. Anthony is Dylan Blaisdell. Last but definitely not least, we have the Romney Marsh Academy, and the third place speller at the Romney was Lena Benkasem. In second place, we have Caleb Pfeiffer. And our champion speller from the Romney Marsh is Mili Yilmaz. Okay. That's the end of our Spelling Bee Awards. Next we have our athletic awards. And these are for a variety of different sports and for a variety of different kinds of awards, but all of them are incredibly impressive. I'm going to ask that our athletic director, Mr. Shea, come up and help us present. Okay. The first award is the Northeast Conference All-Star for Girls Cross Country, and that goes to Erica Cheever. We also have a Lynn Item All-Star Award for Eddie Ballo. I should mention that Eddie also won the Northeast Conference All-Star for football, but he's not able to make it with us tonight. The Northeast Conference All-Star for boys cross country was awarded to Nicholas Alves Pereira. For the same award also goes to Wilfredo Martinez. The Northeast Conference All-Star for Field Hockey Award goes to Natalie Maggioli. Northeast Conference All-Star Award for Football goes to James Kiusas. The Northeast Conference All-Star for Golf goes to James O'Donnell. The Northeastern Conference All-Star for Boys Soccer goes to Andres Cole. The Northeastern Conference All-Star Award for Girls Soccer goes to Camila Perez Herrera. For volleyball, we have two Northeastern Conference All-Star Award recipients, Joyce De Silva Oliveira and Valentina Pepek. That is the end of the awards. Sure.
Round of applause for everyone.
Yeah.
Do separate spelling and then?
Yep, so I think the, do you want to
Oh,
say?
we'll take a 3-minute recess.
All right, we're back. Dr. Kelly, continue with the superintendent's report.
So I think we're on item number 3.
Well, we'll continue with the student representative report. My apologies.
Good evening. So there's not much to talk about, just because once we hit December, January, it's kind of just easing in, and then the chaos comes in, you know, during spring. Really quick though, for a student council, we have the Revere High School senior sweaters that are gonna be distributed soon after Christmas break. Everyone can purchase them at $25 a piece by Friday, and then we have the yearbook deposit due, which is $30 by Friday as well, by this Friday, December 22nd. Another thing, I know that the boys are playing tonight against Malden. Starts at 7. The girls were supposed to play last night. They played a solid quarter and a half, and then they had to delay the game. The game's going to be postponed until later in the season. There was a ref had an injury. He fainted, so they had to stop the game. Everyone did not feel well, like continuing the game in honor of the ref, but he's fine. And then another thing, I know that the school improvement committee, they talked about this before, and then some other teachers mentioned this, with some other students saying that to have more school pride, a good thing would also be having better bathrooms, but like minor adjustments. For example, a lot of girls will complain about not having locks in the bathrooms, in the bathroom stalls. A lot of boys will complain about not having mirrors in the bathrooms. And I feel like just minor adjustments like those could maybe benefit the school and benefit the image of Revere High School. But at the same time, we also have to realize that it's our responsibility to make sure that those things are clean and we don't really trash the place. Just because I think we also need to establish that it's a reward for us to get improvements if we were to get improvements. And I personally know that me or my friends, we would not want to waste such an opportunity like getting improvements like that if we were to. I know that there will be some sort of voting on what should improve in the bathrooms tomorrow that some teachers will be passing out to students, and then I can catch you guys up next time about what happens. And that's it for this month.
Thank you for the great update. And one thing that I will note is there was an incident at the girls' varsity basketball game the other night, and luckily there was somebody in the audience who was watching his daughter, Deputy Chief, Fire Chief Paul Cheever, and he sprang to action. And it was I was not there, but I got the report very early this morning that it was quite impressive that they jumped to intercede and make sure that that the referee got the care that he needed. So I was thankful that we had somebody like Deputy Chief Paul Cheever there at that game. Mrs. Rizzo.
I just wanted to know, is the school improvement meetings on a regular day each month?
I think that they are on the third Wednesday each month. I think that sometimes they'll have to change. Like, for example, sometimes there'll be a second Wednesday. It's not exactly concrete. It depends on the teacher's schedules too, if something comes up. but it is once a month on a Wednesday, mostly every third Wednesday.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other members? Nope. We will now go to the superintendent's report. Dr. Kelly?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So we have a few items on the superintendent's report. Most of them revolve around field trips for high school students. And then we're going to have a report from Aramark on client service business review and a little information about the MSBA and our bid to become part of their core program for a new high school. But we're going to start first with a proposal from teacher Alex Butler to take Revere High School students on a day ski trip to Loon Mountain in Lincoln, New Hampshire, which, because it's out of state, would require school committee approval. So I'm going to ask Ms. Butler to come to the dais and talk to us about her trip.
Thanks. Hi, I'm Alex Butler. Just the kind of basic details of the trip. We would go on February 10th, which is a Saturday, so not interfering with school. We would leave here around 6:30. It takes about 3 hours to get up there, so quite a trip. But so we could get there by 9:30. First lift, I believe, is at 10. We would take a coach bus up there, number one, because all of their stuff needs to fit on the bus. Number two, kind of a long ride to spend on a school bus. We would leave there we would get ready to leave at 4:30. We would leave the mountain, so we'd get back here by 7:30. So if they have homework, they can still spend some of their Saturday doing it or doing whatever they would like. The cost is $95 per student. The way I broke that down was $60 for the ticket, which is a huge discount on what it normally is, and $35 per student to collect the coach bus fees. And that's kind of the basic details of it.
Any members have any questions? No. Mrs. Rizzo.
Alex, I know you have it in your, what you submitted. How many chaperones and how many students? That's all right.
So 40 to 43 students, 43 capped because of the bus size, but 40 for ticket prices is kind of what I based it around. And then at least 4 chaperones, but max 5, once again, because of bus size. And chaperones would pay $20 each just to contribute to the coach bus fees, just because it's so expensive to rent a coach bus.
Any other members? Ms. Tai.
Are the chaperones teachers, or are they your fellow skiers, or parents?
So I will be going. Mr. Mitchell expressed interest in going as well. He's a big skier. I was going to open it up to teachers to see if we could fill it. If not, I was going to try to get people.
You just had a volunteer here.
Perfect. I was just going to open up and see. I haven't really talked to teachers as much as I have students to see if there's interest in teachers. If not, I have friends who live in the area who I would get quarried and they would come, or just see if any people in Revere who are quarried would like to come. But I was going to open it up to teachers first, which I think they'll fill it. But
A follow-up question, please. So, of the students who are going with you, are they all very good skiers? Are they downhill or cross-country skiers? Are they have they been doing this, and will they bring their own equipment, or is there? I know there's a facility, of course, where they could rent if they needed to. I'd just like to get a flavor of what kids are going with you.
So I pitched it that really anyone can come because we are such a big group. We get discount for rentals too. So even students who don't have their own skis or snowboard can definitely come. I think more interested students are the ones who already know how. But because we have a group discount, it's really anyone can come kind of trip. Loon is definitely not a Wachusett-sized mountain, but it's not Sunday River, meaning it's in between. There's definitely beginner trails. It's not all parks and black diamonds, so if you don't know how, really good mountain to learn on. But also if you do know how, it's still an exciting mountain. So it's kind of an intermediate place for everyone.
And just one question, is the goal to have, because right now we don't have a ski club, right, at the high school, is the goal to eventually make this a kind of more formal and ongoing thing?
So I'm a long-term sub, so if I am back here next year, I would love to I would love to create some sort of ski club, right? This would kind of be the trial to see if it went well. It would be really nice. I'm from Peabody, and they have an amazing ski club there, the high school. They go on at least like 3 or 4 trips, and because it's a set club, fundraising is so significant there. So the trips were like $35 a trip, just because it's such a concrete club and there's kind of a group that's always there, it's so easy for them to fundraise. So the goal would be to have some sort of a club eventually if that's possible.
Great. Any other members? No. Thank you.
And I'll just add that I know, as Ms. Butler just said, that she's a long-term sub right now, but she is very highly regarded by the administration at the high school. They find her to be an excellent teacher, both in the classroom and the work that she does with Kids Beyond, which is exemplified by her organization of this trip. So just off of that.
So, Mr. Mayor, would it be appropriate
Mrs.
for us to
Oh.
vote in favor of this?
Mrs. Rizzo?
Make a motion.
It is
Do we have a
appropriate.
motion?
I move that we give permission to Ms. Butler to go forward with the trip, the ski club trip.
Second.
Second. Roll call.
Mr. Ferranti.
Yes.
Ms. Gravellisi.
Yes.
Mr. McGuire.
Yes.
Mrs. Rizzo.
Yes.
Mr. Sinella.
Yes.
Mrs. Ty.
Yes.
Mayor Arrigo.
Yes. Dr. Kelly?
Thank you all. The next item on the superintendent's report is, there are actually two items here from the JROTC, and they are proposing 2 overnight field trips. The first one to New York City from March 2nd to 3rd, and the second one to the Kentucky Expo Center on April 13th through 15th. And I will invite Major Bowker to come up and introduce the members of the JROTC who will present their appeal to the school committee.
Good evening. Hook me up. All right, thanks. Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Dr. Kelly, Dr. Vidala, and members of the school committee. I'm Major Bowker, the Senior Army Instructor for the Revere High School Army Junior ROTC program. First and foremost, on behalf of the Patriot Battalion, we would like to commend all our student athletes that were awarded tonight. We would also like to commend all our spelling bee winners. On that note, I'd like to start off with our word, trifecta, a noun, as defined as a run of 3 wins or grand events. That's TRIFECTA. As we are the 3P champions, Massachusetts Army JROTC drill champions.
Nice.
Accompanying me tonight are 5 cadets from the Patriot Battalion. The purpose of this briefing is to request approval from the school committee to attend the 2nd Brigade drill competition on 2-3 March in Queens, New York, as well as obtain approval from the school committee to attend the Cadet Command National Drill Competition 13 to 15 April in Louisville, Kentucky. At this time, I will turn the briefing over to our Cadet Battalion Commander.
Good evening. I am Cadet Lacerda, the Patriot Battalion Cadet Battalion Commander and the Project Officer for our trip to New York and Kentucky. I would like to begin with the RHS Patriot Battalion has won the Governor's Cup for our 3rd year in a row. We are one of only 5 schools ever of 12 schools to win the Cup. Our drill team has once again been invited to compete in the 2nd Brigade Army Junior ROTC drill competition. Next slide. Thank you.
Good evening. I am Cadet Valerio, drill commander for the RHS drill team. The RHS JROTC Patriot Battalion competed in 3 co-mile drill competitions during school year 2017 to 2018 to evaluate and judge the cadets' proficiency in drill and ceremony in accordance with the Army Drill and Ceremony Manual TC3-20.5. Co-mile consists of the 11 Massachusetts Army JROTC throughout the state. The RHS JROTC drill team earned 26 trophies during the season this year. Listed here are the trophies from each division and team. During the drill season, we practiced every morning to perfect moving as one unit and being in sync. Our efforts show in our results throughout the season. Next slide, please. 2nd Brigade consists of 8 states in the New England area. Within 2nd Brigade, there are 119 schools that have Army Junior ROTC programs. The first and second place team within each league is invited to compete in the brigade competition. Therefore, we'll be facing a minimum of seven schools at the brigade competition. Next slide, please.
Good evening. I'm Cadet Argueta, the Command Sergeant Major of the Patriot Battalion. The Patriot Battalion competes in 8 events that constitute the drill team. There are 2 divisions, the armed and unarmed team. The armed team competes with replicas of the World War I M1903 Springfield facsimile drill rifles. The unarmed division performs a similar routine without the drill rifles. Next slide, please. Our academic team will also join us to compete at the Francis Lewis High School. First, there is a timed portion on paper testing knowledge about SAT math and English. Then they participate in a team consisting of 5 cadets against a different school. Their question will appear on the board and are given 30 seconds to read the question before being able to press the buzzer to answer. There are 3 separate rounds that each school competes in. Next slide, please. Every year we teach over 250 cadets, but not everyone decides to join the drill team. For this school year, the drill team consisted of a total of 53 cadets. Some of our Let 1s only competed in New Cadet Squad, which does not compete at the brigade level. Next year, they will have the opportunity to go to New York. These cadets' efforts to go beyond what is expected in the classroom have led us to win the Governor's Cup for the 3rd consecutive year. By winning the Cup, we become the representatives of Massachusetts to compete in the 2nd Brigade competition. It is something the cadets have dedicated their time to and get the opportunity to represent not only Revere High School, but also the state of Massachusetts. Today, we ask you, the school committee, for approval to compete in March at Francis Lewis High School in Queens, New York. Next slide, please. This is the list of forms cadets are required to fill out prior to our trip to New York. The first 8 appendixes are required by the Army, while the last 6 appendixes are required by the Revere public school system. Please reference our exemplar packet requesting authorization to go. Next slide, please.
Good evening. I am Cadet Tedesco, the Executive Officer of the RHS Patriot Battalion. Bless you. This is a breakdown of the amount of cadets by each grade level and gender. In order to safely execute our mission of taking the drill team to New York, we have chaperones to maintain the accountability of all cadets attending the overnight trip and the competition. The Army requires a 1-to-7 chaperone to student ratio, therefore we are bringing 7 chaperones. In addition to the administrators and teachers, we would like to highlight the fact that we are bringing a registered nurse with us. Next slide, please. We will be staying in the same hotel as we did in the previous years, LaGuardia Plaza Hotel in Queens, New York. The hotel is 15 minutes away from where we'll be competing at Francis Lewis High School. It contains a heated pool, a jacuzzi, and a health and fitness center, which cadets will be allowed to use in their personal time after checking in. At no time will cadets be allowed to exit the premises unsupervised. Next slide, please. This trip to New York will be possible thanks to the U.S. Army and the budget they have set for us. Expenses for the hotel and transportation will be funded, as well as the meals for both cadets and chaperones. Cadets are encouraged to bring money with them if they choose, but are not responsible for paying any part of the trip. Cadets and chaperones will have their dinner meals covered for the 2-day trip. We have already coordinated with both restaurants to ensure they have provided adequate space and subsistence for all participants. The school will also provide cadets with a bagged breakfast and lunch. Cadets will also have the opportunity to visit the Statue of Liberty. This will serve as an educational trip for the cadets to learn about the history surrounding the statue and the symbolism it stands for. After, the cadets will complete a reflection essay on their educational visit and how it reflects back to the Jrotc core abilities. Next slide, please.
The RHS drill team has also qualified to compete in the U.S. Army Cadet Command National Drill Competition. Pictured below is our unarmed color guard team. From left to right, Cadet Restrepo, our Public Affairs Officer. Next is myself. Afterwards is Cadet Tedesco, our battalion executive officer, and finally Cadet Lainez, our battalion operations officer. On the bottom right-hand side is the Kentucky Expo Center, where we will compete. Next slide, please. We also ask you for approval to compete in April at the Kentucky Expo Center. We will also represent Massachusetts nationally as the only school from the state. Our cadets have gone above and beyond in their efforts to continuously improve in drill and feel prepared to take on a higher level of competition. Cadets will be given the same packet they will receive for New York to go to Kentucky, and I will pass the packet around for all to see. Next slide, please. Due to this being our first national competition, we will be taking 18 of our most experienced and reliable cadets. This is the breakdown of cadets from each grade level and by gender. Our chaperones will be our Senior Army Instructor, Major Bowker, and our Army Instructors, Command Sergeant Major Callender. This trip is made possible by the U.S. Army and the budget they have set for us. Cadet Command will provide us with free lodging at Fort Knox and will also reimburse the rental of 2 10-person vans. We will also be provided commercial air travel through the U.S. Army Defense Travel System. Cadets and chaperones will have their dinner meals covered for the 3-day trip, and both our vans will be driven by our instructors. A tour of Fort Knox will serve as our educational visit, allowing cadets to learn about the history of the military base, which also serves as the Junior ROTC National Headquarters. Cadets will complete a reflection essay on their educational visit and how it ties back to the JROTC core abilities.
Good evening. I am Cadet Lainez, Training and Operations Officer for the Patriot Battalion. As stated before, we will be staying in Fort Knox, which is 60 minutes away from where we will be competing, the Kentucky Exposition Center. Cadets will not be allowed to leave the premises once we have checked in. This is our timeline for our trip on April 13th through April 15th. Cadets will arrive early to the airport to ensure they will have enough time to go through security. We will request the earliest flight for April 13th, but we will have to work with what the United States Defense Travel System provides us with. Once we arrive to Louisville, rental vans will transport cadets to Fort Knox, where we will check in before having lunch. After lunch, we will have a tour of Fort Knox. After our tour, we will go out for dinner. After dinner, we will return to Fort Knox and have the opportunity to watch the retrieval of the flag before we are allowed free time. Lights out will be at 2200, 10 p.m., ensuring cadets get rest before the competition. On April 14th, cadets will have the morning to prepare for comp before being in transit to the Louisville Exposition Center. Once we arrive at the competition, cadets will not be allowed to exit the Exposition Center until the conclusion of the award ceremony at 8:30 p.m. When we return to Fort Knox, cadets will have some free time to pack their belongings before lights out at 11 p.m. On the morning of April 15th, cadets will gather their belongings before having breakfast at Fort Knox. After breakfast, cadets will be in transit to the airport, where we plan for a 10 a.m. flight to start our journey back to Revere. Next slide, please.
While we are away competing, possibly at the New York 2nd Brigade drill competition, we do not forget our service learning project, Operation Snow Angel. If there is a snowstorm during our 2-day trip, cadets will dispatch on Sunday, March 4th, to ensure 100% mission completion. Next slide, please. This concludes our briefing. What are your questions?
Any members have any questions? Nothing? Very impressive presentation.
Thank you, sir.
No stone left unturned is correct. Ms. Tai.
Just one question about, the academic in the first trip, about what sorts of questions do you have to answer in that? Is it, are they military questions, or are they general knowledge, or?
So, like previous said, they're SAT math and English questions based. So basically, I personally haven't competed in it, but it's like the academic portion, and is there a leadership portion as well? Or just academic? Oh, no.
Is it geometry or calculus, or is it simple math?
So part of our curriculum is SAT Math and SAT English. So we actually have 3 different academic teams. We have our JLab team, which is our Jrotc Leadership and Academic Bowl team, which, if you follow me on Twitter, we made it to round 2. So in that academic team, we have a leadership team, which focuses 100% on the Army Jrotc curriculum, and we have an academic team, which focuses primarily on SAT Math, SAT English, and current events. So 2 completely different teams. We also have an academic team that we compete against the same 11 schools in Massachusetts during the winter season, and in New York at Brigade, to allow more cadets to have an opportunity to compete at the brigade level. They also supplement the drill competition with an academic competition. So it allows us to bring more cadets, and they split it into 2 divisions. So the LEP 1s, which are our first-year cadets, will be competing on grade 9 level math and grade 9 level ELA, whereas the master's division are LETs 2, 3, and 4 sophomores, juniors, and seniors, and they compete on SAT Math, SAT English. They do have some of our leadership questions built in as they revolve around our curriculum.
Thank you.
And there's 2 components to it. There's a written test that they take, and they do a Jeopardy-style competition. That's what we were trying to articulate in the competition.
Well, congratulations. That is the most thorough presentation, I think, that we have seen, as always. Thank you so much.
We also have our bin over here that we'd be happy to pass around of our 47 packets for New York that we have ready, provided we get approval from the school committee to go to New York.
Thank you, Major Bowker. Continue to be an incredibly impressive program, and thank you for all the great work that you do. Am I entertaining a motion to Mr. Ferranti?
Whatever. I would like to make a motion to approve the JROTC overnight trip to New York on March 2nd and 3rd, plus their overnight trip to the Kentucky Expo Center on April 13th and 15th.
Second. Roll call.
Mr. Ferranti?
Yes.
Ms. Gravellisi?
Yes.
Mr. McGuire?
Yes.
Mrs. Rizzo?
Yes.
Mr. Sinella?
Yes.
Ms. Ty?
Yes.
Mayor Arrigo?
Yes. Good luck. Good luck. We'll take recess for 1 minute. School committee is back in session, and we are back to the superintendent's report. Dr. Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For the next piece of the superintendent's report, we have client business review from Aramark. As you know, we do this annually, and I'd like to invite Cheryl Cole, who is our food services manager, up to give her presentation on where we are with our food service program.
Good evening, everyone. I feel like I have big shoes to fill after that last presentation, so please bear with me. I was in here in October. I just wanted to talk a little bit about changes that have happened to the program, and if you just want to change the slide. One of the things that we spoke about back in October, I'd just like to mention a little bit about and go into more detail. We did roll out breakfast after the bell carts at the beginning of this school year at 3 schools. It was the Garfield Middle School, the Susan B. Anthony School, and the Paul Revere Elementary School. We received initial success at all of those locations and continue to do so. One thing that is important when it comes to breakfast programs is to realize that as we're trying to grow the programs, there's a lot of factors that we need to take into place. Number one being the size of our cafeterias. As we all know, at lunchtime, there are several service periods to accommodate the number of students. At breakfast, that is not the case. So we are usually dealing with about a 10-minute window to serve a population of approximately 400 to 700 students. Our breakfast after the bell carts were designed to accommodate the number of students, and by bringing the breakfast programs into the classrooms, we have seen significant growth in all 3 programs since the start of the school year. If you want to skip to the next slide. We across the district have seen an increase in breakfast growth by changing the menu, keeping it interesting for our students, and to that is about 750 meals per day. We are feeding approximately 750 more students breakfast per day. We do contribute some of that success to the breakfast after the bell carts. We can just change the slide. There is a picture here that represents the cart at the Garfield Middle School. At the Garfield Middle School, we've seen a student increase of about 20% more of our students, or close to 110 students per day. The next slide is the Romney Marsh cart. This is a program that was just rolled out at the beginning of December. I have to say that we did learn through trials and changes from the other schools, and it was a seamless operation at the rollout at the Romney Marsh. Average increase there is about 120 breakfasts per day. Susan B. Anthony is 145 breakfasts per day. And the placement of the carts, I do have to say, is the key to these successes. At the Paul Revere School, we are close to 150 additional students eating breakfast with us on a daily basis. When I speak about the changes, one of the things with the location of the carts, we've learned by relocating them into different areas, we are able to accommodate more students. On a separate note, there is a breakdown there for the breakfast data across all locations, but I cannot thank our administrative staff, our custodial staff, and our food service team members for really contributing to the success of this program, not only at the start out, but day in and day out as it continues to grow. Some program enhancements. It's very important that we keep investing in our program. As we know, our buildings are all different ages. Some of the older buildings, the equipment is aging rapidly. So every year what we try to do is take a look at the needs by each location. What we see as being an improvement for the future, to not only be able to increase menu options, but to be able to keep the production and labor able to flow smoothly. So some of the investments that took place this year were at the Paul Revere School. There was a steam jacket unit that, if you are not in the restaurant business, does not mean a lot to you, but I do have to say that a lot of our food, we do steam. It is a great method of preparing food. So the unit that was there was a very small capacity unit. When we replaced it, we went with a larger capacity unit. The Lincoln School has a tilt skillet, which is being placed during school vacation. Next week, as a matter of fact. In the Garfield, which, as we know, is an older building as well, the changes that we made over there really make sense for that location. It is a population that continues to grow, so the changes that we are making into our service areas are able to keep those programs growing as well. The next slide talks about food cost. There are different programs that our USDA continue to introduce and make available to the food service programs. And those are things that, if we utilize them properly, it makes the most sense out of the school district's dollar. It allows us to be able to do more in terms of selection and variety for our students. So this chart does represent the breakdown of how we will be utilizing those USDA dollars into our food service program. There is $1 amount that's reflected there of $60,000, and that is a program that's a couple years old now. It's a fresh fruit and vegetable program that is sponsored by the Department of Defense, and we continue to increase that dollar amount. And what that is fresh fruit and produce that comes into our district every week at a significantly reduced cost. And that, again, is one of the ways that we are able to keep the program interesting and creative, because those items that are offered to us through the DoD program represent what is going on in terms of the country. So typically we are going to see more of a variety at the beginning of the school year, and then as more fruits and vegetables become available to us, we incorporate them into our menu. Some of the things that we will continue to try and do is be involved not only in feeding the students of the district, but to be really involved in the community as well. Very, very happy to say that I was involved in what I know to be the first freshman orientation cookout. The weather was perfect. I stood flipping burgers with many people here, but I think we were all impressed with the turnout and the feedback that we received. It was so nice to see family members and our incoming freshmen really participating in that event, and I hope that's something that we can continue to do on an annual basis. Professional development is a luncheon that we host here every year at the beginning of the school year. I once again have to thank the food service staff for taking it to a next level. The theme this year was a Tennessee barbecue. Everyone really got into the spirit. The menu was awesome, and we did get assistance and were able to pipe in some country music in the background, which of course added to the atmosphere and a very successful day. Just a couple weeks ago, I saw a lot of you all, so Thanksgiving morning, on behalf of the mayor's office, we did host our second annual that I have been involved in, Thanksgiving breakfast. We had, of course, the football players, the cheerleaders, but a lot of community members there as well. One thing that I did not realize, but the information recently came across my desk, is that Revere has not beat Winthrop 2 years in a row since 1972. Thank you for sharing that data. So I will take that as the past 2 years that we have fed breakfast, we have had a win on that day. So again, I hope that that is something that we can continue next year as well. Training and development is something that is so important to our food service staff. It keeps them current with the ever-changing regulations, and it's something that by them being involved in their training and development, they're able to take it back to their locations. This year, every year we host a annual training for our food service staff. This year we actually did a little bit different. We broke it into breakout sessions, and I do have to say there are approximately 152 food service team members, and by doing it in breakout sessions, they really were able to gain a lot more information from it. Speaking of training and development, something that we have started to do is host monthly manager meetings. This year, we actually took our managers off-site and visited another location at Everett High School. So the managers were present, were able to see that program, and really, and I'd say that they were inspired by some of the things that they saw, engaging with other food service employees, and it is our hope that the team from Everett may visit our locations as well. But the following month, we actually took our assistant managers off-site back to Everett High School so that they could share in what the managers had seen also. So a few of the takeaways that we got from that, we have incorporated into our menu as well. And the next slides are actually just some pictures of the food that is served every day here in the district. Variety of salads, samplings take place at elementary and middle schools. We do monthly promotions. They're called our fuel promotions. One of the things we are doing this year also is utilizing farm-to-school produce, where we are purchasing our produce from local farms. Quinoa salad is now being served at the deli station here at Revere High School. The grab-and-go protein packs that you can see on the lower right-hand side, those were a takeaway from the program in Everett, and something that we are incorporating into our program as well. The students at Seacoast have always had a separate food service area. And this year, by some changes that was done to the building, we were able to close down that very small service area and let the Seacoast students dine in what is the Beechmont Elementary area also. With that being said, we are able to do a lot more for them, not only in terms of the cafeteria atmosphere, but by introducing a couple different items. By consolidating those locations, we have been able to really better manage the labor at that location too. So one of the recent changes as a result of what the students requested, that was something we were never able to do before, we were able to do, and that is to introduce a deli bar to them. So this is an item that is offered to them currently 2 days a week. It's on Tuesdays and Fridays. There are those are actual pictures of the deli station that is offered, and the students there are happy, and I know that there is more that we can do, and we will continue to try and do more, not only at Seacoast, but at all locations throughout the district. So the unpaid meal policy is something that we spoke about back at the October meeting, and just something I'm just going to talk about very lightly. We are in the process of forming a committee, and Dr. Vidalia will be leading that committee, and the committee will consist of you as the chair, me as an assistant, and we are also looking to bring in school committee members, parents, teachers, and cafeteria worker also to be part of that committee. And basically what we're looking to do is just present a policy to the school committee that everyone is in agreement with. As we know, the current policy has been a policy that has been in place for many years, so it's time to look at that and actually get something that you can agree upon. So currently, right now, the negative balances in the district are similar to where they were in October. And again, I do need to thank our assistant principals and administrative members for really reaching out and trying to get parents that may not have filled out, that realized they qualified for free or reduced meals, to get those applications in, to eliminate the students from having to accumulate negative balances. The next slide, we speak about Error Mark grants. This is the third year. I'm very happy to say we are able to offer them, and they are. It's a program that continues to grow. The most recent one that I will probably be putting forward for recommendation will be going to the Hill School, and I'm going to put this out there as an idea if there's anyone else that's interested. A community cookbook is going to be designed by the students at the Hill School, where they will actually submit recipes. We're hoping that it becomes a family-oriented thing, where families are actually submitting recipes, putting together a cookbook. The students will be probably working on the art for that cookbook, and we can, if there is a featured item, most popular, that comes out of the cookbook, then we would like to feature it in the cafeteria as well. But so far, there have been 5 applicants for Error Mark grants, and it is my expectation that we will be approving all of those so far. The Life Skills Postgraduate Program continues, and we have actually expanded that a little bit so that the students are actually gathering with us 3 days a week now, cooking on one of them, and doing some production, kitchen-type production in the morning as well. Holiday luncheons are now taking place throughout the district, and I do have to say our staff has taken it above and beyond. There is a picture of one of our food service workers there. They're really getting into the holiday spirit. And then a couple more things that we are currently working on. Social media accounts have recently been set up, so please like us on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. Please feel free to follow us. And the other programs that are in the works, the next slide. It's okay. We will be working with our life skills, not the postgrad, the life skills students. Eat the Rainbow program is something that's going to be being introduced to our elementary school locations. Something we still am trying to achieve is cooking classes for our students here at Revere High School and internship opportunities for RHS students as well. Any questions?
Any members have, oh, Mr. Sinella.
Very nice presentation, and I, for one, can speak on the breakfast program on Thanksgiving Day. Glad to have it back, going back many moons, and being a part with Dan and Michael and Stacy on the cookout. That was a nice day. The way they had the slush stationed and everything. They seemed to have enjoyment. A concern I have major is the breakfast program. We've talked about it time and time again. I noticed that 26% increase, which is awesome. Do you have an idea as to what the overall percentage of participation is? You know, 40%, 60%, 80%?
You're asking me this, and I'm going to do quick math in my head. I will say that we, on our breakfast program, are probably about 49 to 51%.
Looking at your figures, it came out, that's what I figured about that. The
Yeah.
lunch program is greater. And it has to be reiterated that Revere is free breakfast for everyone. And that's something that should be anywhere that it can be, you know, mentioned in a flyer or anything. I think there are parents who still may not be aware of it. I mean, we're doing the best, or you're doing the best to get them grab and run and all that jazz. But how do you pass up free? I mean, I selfishly would like to see 100% participation, as everyone would in the breakfast program. The display of the food pending, it's a lot different than when I was in high school, and I'm sure that everyone feels that way there. So keep up the good work, and it's a pleasure doing business with you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sinella. Mr. McGuire.
Hello, Cheryl. I bring greetings from the Seacoast, and the deli is a big hit in the salad bar. My question really is about when do the kids or families receive the free and reduced forms? Do you get them to like when the first day of school? Is there something we could do better during the summer, or something we could do maybe better with our new heart department and work with them on getting, it's all paperwork, and I know it's so vital to the bottom line. So
I can actually address that. The free and reduced lunch forms do go directly through the schools, not through the food service program. And our principals and assistant principals take a leadership role in that. We do an online application, and on Meet the Teacher Night, all schools have liaisons who can sit with parents who speak multiple languages from the heart department and help them complete the forms. We also have a new employee in our heart department who's working directly with families to get them registered for SNAP benefits for those families that do qualify. So the outreach is there, and the follow-up is there. We look for 100% response from our families on whether or not they want to apply for free and reduced lunch, which means if they don't respond, we continue to call them, and they have to complete a form that says, I am not interested in these benefits, if they choose not to fill out the application. So.
Thank you, Mr. McGuire. Any other members? Mrs. Rizzo.
Just want to thank you, Cheryl and Rebecca and Maureen, and especially the cafeteria staff. But I thought maybe you might want to take a moment just to introduce your partner in crime, seeing that he sat here so patiently all night.
This is Jay Gustitis. He is my district manager
everyone.
with Aramark.
And is this an
I'm sorry.
evaluation?
Sure.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Mr. Rizzo. Ms. Ty.
I just had a question about the increase in the breakfast program. You said in the beginning, in order to increase it, you decided to make it a little more interesting. So is there something you eliminated? Did you add something to it? Or what sorts of things did you feel that you had to change, eliminate, put back in, and so forth?
I think with the breakfast program, so for those that do not know, we have a breakfast in the classroom program at 2 of our schools. That is different from our breakfast after the bell carts. So the breakfast in the classroom program is at the A.C. Whalen in the Hill School. And because breakfast is delivered to those classrooms, it's only one option every day. So what happens is, without rotating that cycle menu, the children may become bored with those same offerings. So it's different offerings every day, but by changing out the menu items, I'm seeing that we are able to keep participation growing.
So what did you change?
The items that are being offered, so we introduced a different type of cereal bar. We introduced mozzarella sticks as being a source of protein in the morning. It used to just be yogurt. Things like graham crackers and whole grain items, just by changing them, keeps it interesting for the students. So that is, it's a little thing,
Yeah.
but it has proven to be successful.
I'm sure the mozzarella sticks are very popular.
They actually do like them at breakfast. They do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other members? No? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cheryl. Great job. And thank you, Jay.
We'll go back to the superintendent's report. Dr.
Thank you. We have one last item on it's actually not even on the agenda for the superintendent's report, but because it came in really a little bit too late to get on the agenda. But I did want to take a moment to acknowledge the fact that we were notified by the Massachusetts School Building Authority last week that we, for the 2nd year in a row, were not invited into their feasibility phase for the core program to build a new Revere High School. We were able to communicate that information to the Revere Journal, and they did an article on it last week, but I think it bears mentioning here. We, just as they did last year, we all know that the history of this quest for a new high school began when the MSBA denied us a grant to redo our science labs at the high school, which are certainly antiquated and do not meet the needs of our current student enrollment. And they said to us at the time that they came out to look at the building that never mind the science labs, the whole building needs to be redone. And that's when we really started our serious quest for a new high school. That was about 5 years ago. We did wait until our other school building project was completed with the opening of the Hill School. And since then, we've been applying to MSBA to engage with them to build a new high school. And last year was our first application. And it was actually December 23rd last year, just before Christmas, that we were notified that we were not accepted. This year they gave us a little bit more breathing room between the notification and Christmas, but unfortunately the news was equally disappointing that we weren't invited. They did say, as they did last year, that our application was excellent and that it demonstrates the need for our students and for this community to have a new high school. They just had other districts with greater needs that they needed to address first. One of the things we have to acknowledge is that MSBA funding is limited. They get 1 penny on the dollar for all sales tax in the state of Massachusetts. So they have a set pool from which they can expend. And this year there were over 85 applications for core program for new schools or massive school redesigns. We were one of them, and I'm told that we made it to the very last cut line before we were eliminated. Only 15 projects were awarded. So we intend to reapply. I will be, as soon as the new year, we get to the new year, seeking support from the school committee and the city council to again put in a proposal that we be invited into the core program next school year. So I just wanted to share that information with everybody.
Thank you, Dr. Kelly. And if I could take a moment to just reiterate some of the points you made and kind of pose a question or a task for this committee, which is to start thinking about how we use the next year to make the case publicly that we need a new high school. This is without a doubt the top priority for the district. It's the top priority for my administration. And we're going to need all hands on deck, and we're going to make sure that we have this continual conversation about the high school and the need for a high school. And I think that one thing that we can certainly start to talk about is how does it all work, and we can start to have those public conversations about potential locations and potential costs, and we can start to flesh out some of the details so that we are proving to MSBA that we are ready. We're proving that this is a serious priority for the district, for the city, and that there's a willingness to make this happen. I think, as Dr. Kelly mentioned, we are at the last kind of cut level, and I think if we have that strong groundswell of support from the committee, from the parents in our district, and from members, of the city council and other thought leaders in the community, we can get over the hump. And I think that, I think a lot about how we got to a point where we were able to build so many new schools, and the new school building program that school committee woman Carol Ty was so intricately involved with, and others who Superintendent Paul Dakin and Mayor Brasino, Mayor Haas, who were instrumental in making that happen. But that didn't happen just because we submitted something to the MSBA. There were a lot of other factors that played into that, and I think this committee and I know my office and myself are going to really need to think about how we pull other levers and the other things that we need to do, and we need to get our heads together and start to think about how we make a public pitch and we build momentum for this high school. So it's a disappointing news, obviously, but I think we're going to continue to be persistent, and we're going to make sure that we get good news, hopefully this time next year. With that, I don't know if any of the members have anything to say, but Ms. Ty.
Well, it is true that it will take every one of us in the city. I think personally, I feel so disappointed because they seem to lead us down the garden path when they told us that, oh no, we can't give you the grant for the science labs because your kids deserve better. They should have a new high school altogether. Well, yes, we should have a new high school, so approve us. And I know what it takes. We've all been involved before at one level or another. And that means that we do all have to get together. So we have to get all the citizens, we have to get everybody who understands what the need is. Having a building isn't the only thing that makes a school system great. But it is the thing that gives a kind of pride that you cannot get with anything else. We get great pride when we see the kids come up here in the ROTC. We have more pride when, when we win some contest, or when we see the spelling bee kids, or when we award certificates to the athletes. But walk around the city and look at the 5 buildings that we have, and I mean, strangers who drive through say to me, is that Romney Marsh out there? Is that a charter school? That's not a public school, is it? Yeah, it's a public school. And it was made with the cooperation of so many different people, and we need cheerleaders all along. So I appeal to everybody out there to get on the bandwagon with us. I know that we all work as hard as we can. And as in the past, we had wonderful support from the City Council. The City Council was there all the way through, from the first time in 1999 when Mayor Harris signed that application and it went through, to everybody who followed him and all the people then on the City Council. worked with the school committees, we worked with the building committee, everybody was together with that, the businesses, the Chamber of Commerce, and that's what we need again. And I know we will have it, because as there was so much pride when this building, if you can believe it, opened up in 1974, when we walked down the street with all of our things from the old high school, we had carts, and the teachers and the kids put everything on the carts and we walked down. I can't tell you what that did for the student body, for the teachers, and I look forward to being able to do that again. Someday we'll walk from this building, maybe to the other side of Broadway, and take everything with us that we can, and especially experience that pride and joy in our city, because our kids do deserve the best. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Tai. Any other members? Nope. With that, we will move on to the public participation portion of our agenda. Adrian? No? We all set? All right. No Ralph tonight. Merry Christmas, Ralph.
He's here in spirit.
He is here in spirit. The next item is the consent calendar. Motion. Mr. Ferranti?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we accept the consent calendar.
Second.
Roll call.
Roll call.
Mr. Ferranti?
Yes.
Ms. Gravellisi?
Yes.
Mr. McGuire?
Yes.
Mrs. Rizzo?
Yes.
Mr. Sinella?
Yes.
Ms. Tai?
Yes.
Mayor Arrigo?
Yes. Next item is the report of subcommittees. Mr. Ferranti.
All right, the subcommittee of the Ways and Means had a meeting on Thursday to discuss the issues for the free cash carry forward. At the present time, I would like to make a motion that we approve the allocation of the free cash carry forward as suggested by the Ways and Means Subcommittee in the amount of $7,177,278.92.
Motion to approve. Second. Roll call.
Mr. Ferranti?
Yes.
Ms. Gravellisi?
Yes.
Mr. McGuire?
Yes.
Mrs. Rizzo?
Yes.
Mr. Sinella?
Yes.
Ms. Tai?
Yes.
Mayor Arrigo?
Yes. Any old business? Oh, this is another subcommittee report. Ms. Tai.
The Personnel Subcommittee met on Thursday also, December 14th at 2:10 in the Superintendent's office. There were other members of the committee there, as well as the members of the Personnel Subcommittee, including myself as chair, Mrs. Rizzo, Ms. Gravellisi, Mr. Ferranti, Mr. McGuire, and Mr. Sinella. Because we were discussing proposed contract negotiations with the Revere Teachers Association, we went into executive session, and therefore I will not report on any of the topics that we had discussed. But we all do look forward to discussing successor contract for the Revere Teachers Association. I certainly, since I've been on all sides of it, and my experience has always been that people on all sides really want what's best for the kids. And so I look forward to us coming up with a new contract that will be what's best for the kids, what's just for the teachers, and what the city can afford. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Tai. We're on to old business, which there is none. There is no new business. Any school committee interests? Nope. Motions? None. At this point, we are close to adjournment. Mr. Ferranti, do you?
I'd like to have a point of personal privilege. At this time, usually when the election ends and we have a change in the school committee, it's the procedure that we give the outgoing school committee member, Mr. Dan McGuire, a clock, so we'll make sure that he shows up on time to work. And at the present time, we have an inscription on the clock, and it says, Dan McGuire, in appreciation for your many years of dedicated service to the children of Revere Public Schools from 2005 to 2017. This is done with the superintendent, Dr. Kelly, the assistant superintendents, Josh Vidala, Danielle McCober, and not last but least, the school committee itself. Danny, it was a pleasure serving with you. I've been on the committee with you for 12 years. You're very progressive in his thinking. I know he's still trying to get us to put those poles up with, advertising at the Romney Marsh. I know he's still trying that. And, he also came up with the idea that we should have a delayed in school, which, met with some controversy, but it did go through. So if you have a delay, you can thank Mr. McGuire for it. And Danny, you'll be truly missed here, and we wish you nothing but the best.
Any other members like to make any comments? Ms. Ty?
You know I never pass up an opportunity. But certainly not for Danny. Danny is smart. He's funny. He has a great sense of what's important, so that he knows when to make light of something and he knows when to be very serious. And often he gets his serious point across by using humor. He's a Revere High graduate. I remember him running around the high school, although it was not my privilege to teach him, but he was a great member of the class of 74, 77. Oh, sorry, I was making you a little older than you are. The first one to go all the way through. Right. And I'm really sorry to see you go, Dan, because I think you had a unique perspective. You always thought of things, and you have been, with your wife, Adrian, you have been not only a serving member of this committee, but a servant to the community as well. All kinds of social causes, all kinds of times when you would put in your time and your money to help people who needed it. And you've taught your girls the same thing, and it's really a pleasure to know you and to have served with you. And I look forward to serving with you while you were down in Seacoast, because I think you'll be great down there, and I think those kids need a father figure like you. So thanks very much for all the times.
Thank you, Ms. Ty. Mr. Sinella.
Dan, I had the pleasure of serving with you for 10 of those 12 years, and each day brought newness, compromise sometimes, adamant most times, but you were you. And I think that this is what has held you in good stead with the electorate and more importantly with the kids. I think that having your daughters at the high school, part of the school system, brought a new insight into needs and into how a committee can work openly with the young people. And I think that this is what Revere has come a long way in allowing more input from people who weren't even heard of before. I can go back to the days at Reardon's, but we won't go that far back. They're still waiting to put a plaque up on the new building there, but Michael asked me to ask you is, now that you have a clock, digital is the in word today, is who's going to help you decipher the clock. So there may be a subcommittee that, even though you won't be with us, that we'll put in motion. But Dan, we wish you well. And as Carol mentioned, it's not a question that you're gone and forgotten. You're going to be an integral part of it, and I'm sure there are times that you're going to be a pain in the neck to get a point across, but this is what has held you, again, in good stead, and we wish you Godspeed.
Thank you, Fred.
Thank you, Mr. Sinella. Mrs. Rizzo.
Here.
She hasn't drank in 3 weeks. There you go.
Danny, I agree with most of what they said, but I think they were really talking about Adrian when they were talking about most of it. But I do want to say, although it's been fun, it will be different. It won't be as wacky sometimes. I'm just happy that you're finding something that you enjoy getting up each and every morning doing. And really, that's what the important thing is. You want to get up, do a job, and do a job you love. And that's the whole reason for getting up, other than a beautiful wife and beautiful 2 daughters. So best of luck to you. We'll see you around anyhow. And we just wish you the best. I lied.
Ms. Scavalisi.
Dan, it's been great working with you the last 4 years. I want to congratulate you on your retirement from the post office.
Thank you.
And congratulate you on moving on in a new chapter in your life. We know that we will see you often. You and Adrian are an integral part of the community here in Revere. So I know we will see you quite often, and I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, Ms. Scavalisi. Dr. Kelly.
May I just for just a moment? So I think everybody pretty much already covered all the characteristics. I think that I'm the luckiest of everybody that's sitting up here right now, because I still get to work with you on a daily basis. So I'm very excited for that, and I know that you're not going to confuse your old role as a school committee member with your new role. And we'll be able to work together. I do think, I think was it Michael or Carol, I forget who said, you're going to be a great resource to the kids at Seacoast, and I believe that to be the truth. I think that you can help guide these kids in ways that they need guidance, and that way you remain an integral part of the school system. So we appreciate all of that.
Thank you, Dr. Kelly. Before you get to say a few words, Dan.
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
I just want to say a few words. First, thank you for your dedicated service to the city. It has been an honor to serve with you for the last 2 years on the school committee. I know that you're not going away, because he told me, actually he whispered in my ear, he said, I can't wait to text you throughout the meetings. And so I have no doubt. Diane might be the luckiest, I might be the unluckiest person. I also have to golf with you, so. But you have been a real asset to this committee, to this city. I think the fact that the district is in such great shape is because of leadership of people like you who have taken that that burden of public service and the fact that you had 2 daughters who were going through the system, and you cared enough to put your name out there, and you cared enough to put yourself out and make the district just a little bit better. And you made it a lot more better than just a little bit. So it's going to be, it will not be the same. I can tell you that looking forward to a Tuesday night is always fun, because I know I'm going to have a couple of laughs at least sitting next to Mr. McGuire. So I look forward to your texts during the school committee meetings, and I look forward to your continued support on school department issues, and I know you're going to do a wonderful job down at Seacoast. So with that, I love you, man, and can I have the floor to say a few words?
Thank you. Thank you. Before I cry, you know, us Irish, we get very emotional. But, you know, it's been my pleasure to not only take a chance years ago to run, you know, not getting elected and then getting elected and getting reelected six elections in a row. It's something I attribute to my lovely wife, Adrian. Without her guidance and her strength, what good is a man? Any woman. Thank you. I know you'd like that one. But, you know, it's been my honor. My 2 girls have been through the system. Michaela is a proud graduate at Revere High and a proud graduate of Regis College and a nurse at Brigham and Women's. Revere school system gave that to her. It's there for her. It's there for my daughter Megan, who will graduate this June, and I think will want to be an elementary teacher. I'm trying to get her into being a teacher. So I'd like to thank, the school committee present, the school committees of the past who I've served with, the former mayors, Tom Ambrosino. I said, should I run for school committee? And I said it kiddingly, as I say stuff, and he says, you'd make a great school committee man. And when he said that to me, he lit a fire in me that I think was always there, but it was a pleasure to serve with them. I see a lot of characteristics in our mayor, Arrigo, with Tom. I think Tom's handprints are all over the Revere Public School system. And again, I'm not leaving. I am doing a lateral transfer to security at Seacoast, and this clock probably will come with me to show them, if you get to school on time, this is what you get. No. But it's been a pleasure transversing to that over the last few months. I love it. The Postal Service is, see you later, sayonara, thank you very much. But I'm here if you need me, and I mean that truly for anything, and I'd like to congratulate the school committee-elect Jerry Visconti. I'm here for anybody. So thank you very much.
Thank you. St. Jack Moscow.
Before we adjourn, Dr. Kelly has one more item to address.
Sorry, I think we had spoken earlier about making a recommendation on the robotics field trip that we did not have a presentation on today. And I neglected to mention that under the superintendent's report, but I was hoping we could have a vote of the committee so that the robotics team could proceed with their planning process for their possible trip in February.
Motion. Second. Roll call.
Mr. Franti?
Yes.
Ms. Gravellisi?
Yes.
Mr. McGuire?
Yes.
Mrs. Rizzo?
Yes.
Mr. Sinella?
Yes.
Ms. Ty?
Yes.
Mayor Arrigo?
Yes. With that, we will adjourn until January 23rd. Oh, actually, January 1st. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I believe at the end of the term, we adjourn Sendai.
Yes, it's a Latin term,
Uh,
meaning everything dies,
Yes, so,
but it means
it's,
without a day.
right. Do we need to pass anything
That
to?
should be part of the adjournment vote.
So we adjourn, sign die.
Sinedie.
Yep.
Thank you.
Adjourn, sign die.